Have you ever stood in a crowded room surrounded by laughter and conversation and felt utterly alone? Not because of shyness or social anxiety, but because something was visible that no one else seemed to notice. A tension beneath the surface, a lie wrapped in politeness, a truth so obvious it hurt to watch everyone pretend it wasn't there.
I need your full commitment. No delays. Deploy the protocol.
And in that moment, a choice presented itself. Speak up and become the problem, or stay silent and feel the weight of knowing crush something vital inside.
Listen, we don't have much time. They're closing in. We need to act.
This is where the danger begins. Not in ignorance, but in sight. Not in darkness, but in light that reveals too much, too soon, to someone who isn't ready for what it costs to see. When innocence dies. Here's the truth that no one prepares anyone for. Clarity is a one-way door. Once it opens, there's no going back. And on the other side of that door is a loneliness most people never experience. Because seeing what others don't creates an immediate separation. Not a physical distance, but something deeper. A psychological chasm that makes connection almost impossible. Conversations become performances to watch rather than participate in. Relationships become studies in human behavior rather than genuine bonds. The advice here is stark. Before pursuing deeper sight, understand what will be lost. The comfort of belonging, the ease of shared illusions, the warmth of collective blindness. These aren't small sacrifices. They're the very things that make social existence bearable. And once they're gone, nothing fills that space quite the same way. The exhaustion of knowing. But the isolation is only the beginning. What comes next is more insidious, a bone-deep exhaustion that settles in and never fully leaves. Because seeing what others don't means carrying knowledge that has no outlet. It means understanding dynamics that can't be explained without sounding paranoid, arrogant, or insane. It means recognizing patterns that everyone else is invested in denying. Every conversation becomes a calculation. How much truth can be shared without triggering defensiveness? How much should be hidden to maintain the fragile peace? How long can the mask be worn before something inside starts to fracture?
Did you feel that? Something's not right.
This exhaustion isn't physical. It's the weariness of constant translation, taking what's clearly visible and finding ways to make it palatable, acceptable, safe for those still committed to not seeing. And here's what makes it dangerous. Over time, this exhaustion breeds resentment. Resentment toward those who get to remain unconscious. Resentment toward a world that punishes awareness. Resentment toward the very gift of sight itself. But there's something even more treacherous lurking beneath the surface. A danger that doesn't come from others' blindness, but from one's own vision. Because the human mind, when it begins to see patterns that others miss, doesn't stop there. It keeps going, finding connections where none exist, building narratives from fragments, turning insight into obsession. This is where perception becomes prison. The spiral of certainty. Watch what happens when someone starts seeing what others don't. At first, there's validation when they're proven right. The pattern they noticed plays out exactly as predicted. The hidden motive reveals itself. The denied truth surfaces. And with each confirmation, something shifts. Confidence becomes certainty. Certainty becomes conviction. Conviction becomes an unshakable belief in the infallibility of one's own perception. This is the trap, because the mind that sees patterns will eventually start creating them. It will take ambiguous information and shape it into familiar forms. It will ignore contradictory evidence because the narrative has already been decided. The person who once saw what others couldn't is now seeing things that aren't there at all, but they can't tell the difference. The mechanism that grants insight has turned against itself, producing delusion dressed up as
This
wisdom.
has to be it.
The advice is this:
Almost there.
stay skeptical of your own sight. Question your patterns. Look for evidence that contradicts your conclusions. The moment certainty arrives is the moment perception begins to fail.
It's not going to be easy.
The Messiah complex. And there's another danger that comes with seeing: the quiet, seductive belief that this sight creates obligation. That understanding means a duty to fix, to save, to enlighten all those who remain blind. This is how prophets are born, and how they destroy themselves. Because what starts as genuine concern quickly morphs into something else: a need to be proven right, a craving for recognition, a hunger to be seen as special, chosen, different from the unconscious masses.
I could be wrong.
The person stops listening and starts preaching. They stop questioning and start declaring. They stop connecting and start converting. And everyone around them feels it: the shift from shared humanity to hierarchical judgment, the transformation from "let me help you see" to "I am the only one who sees." This isn't wisdom. This is ego disguised as enlightenment, and it isolates more thoroughly than any amount of genuine insight ever could. The path of humility.
Show variability. We need more data. We have to be careful. One mistake and it's over.
So what's the
So
plan?
what's the answer? How does someone navigate the danger of seeing what others don't? Not by closing the eyes. That's impossible once they've been opened. And not by announcing what's seen from every rooftop. That only breeds conflict and confirms everyone's suspicion that insight equals arrogance. The answer is humility. Radical, uncomfortable humility that acknowledges a simple truth. Seeing more doesn't mean seeing everything. Understanding patterns doesn't mean understanding people. Recognizing dynamics doesn't mean knowing outcomes. Every perception is partial. Every insight is incomplete. Every moment of clarity is surrounded by vast territories of ignorance.
Supports increasing the budget.
I agree. This looks promising.
What about the timeline impact?
Hold sight loosely, use it carefully, share it sparingly, and always, always remain open to the possibility of being wrong. The gift of connection. And here's the final piece that makes the danger worth facing. Sight, when held properly, doesn't have to mean isolation.
This is our chance. We have to take it. But what if we're wrong?
It can mean deeper connection, not with everyone. That's the old illusion that needs to die. But with the few who see similarly, who carry their own knowledge, who understand the weight. These connections are rare, but they're real in ways that surface relationships never are. They're built on truth rather than pretense, on recognition rather than performance. The danger of seeing what others don't isn't that it separates someone from humanity. It's that it separates them from the comfortable version of humanity, the one built on shared denial and collective blindness. But beyond that comfort lies something more valuable, more authentic, more alive. Seeing what others don't will always be dangerous. It will always cost something. It will always demand sacrifices that feel unbearable in the moment. But here's the truth that makes it worthwhile. A life lived in full awareness, even with all its isolation and exhaustion and risk, is still more real than a life lived in comfortable blindness. See what others don't, but stay humble, stay skeptical, stay human. And remember, the greatest danger isn't in seeing too much. It's in forgetting that sight itself is just another form of limitation.
Subscribe to explore the depths of human consciousness.